Hey guys, Hayden here with a quick tutorial on using fades effectively in your dance mixes and edits. Just an FYI, these tutorials are geared towards dancers to help you make your own mix or edit. So nothing super fancy or super comprehensive, just basic things like transitioning from one song to another and cutting out certain sections of a song. So today we are going to be working in Adobe Audition and focusing on fades and how to use those in the right way. So let's get right to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a multi-track session here because this is what we want to work with. It's a little bit easier than just working in the default waveform editor. So go ahead and click that multi-track button. I'm going to name my mix here, My Dance Mix. We'll go ahead and choose a location to save that. Template, none, sample rates, fine, 24-bit, stereo, those all work just fine, so click OK. And now we have our multi-track view here ready to do some work. So there are two ways to add audio files to your editor here. So the first way is we can simply just right-click here, insert files, and this will insert a file right to this track. It'll pop up this window here. I can select the song that I want, click open. And there it is. The second way, which I think is a little bit easier, is simply by opening the Finder window, navigating to where your songs are, and simply dragging and dropping it into your editor, just like that. Either way works perfectly fine. So let's grab our move tool here and move this to the beginning of our song. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out so that I can see the entirety of the song here. I can click this about 100 times, or I can simply come up here to this cool view tool and just stretch it out like this. Okay, so now we're ready to do this. So let's say that with these songs, in song number 1, I want to keep the intro and the first verse. So roughly about this much of this song here, and I want to cut out the rest. And then in song 2, I'm going to cut out the intro, and we'll just keep the chorus and the rest of that song in our mix here. So starting with number 1, let's solo this so we can work with it first. I'm going to find roughly where I want to make that edit, and I'm going to use this time selection tool to kind of move my cursor whereabouts I want it. I think the transition is right around here somewhere, so let's go there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And wherever that cursor is, that's where this zoom tool will zoom in, so I like using this little button here. It's kind of nice. So if I play this back, let's try to find that downbeat where that chorus starts here. Ready? Here we go. So there it is. It looks like it's right around here. If I click my cursor right where that happened, I can zoom in on that just a little bit more, and you can really see where that beat is, and it looks like it's this right here. This is that little peak of a waveform. So that's where I want that transition to happen. So I'm going to zoom in even further. The way that we cut music in Audition, the easiest way in my opinion is using our razor tool. So if I come up here and select razor tool, or I can use R as the shortcut, I can grab that and then just come to where my cursor is here, and I can cut my file, and now you can see that it's two separate files. So then I got to come back up here and grab my selection or move tool, or I can use the shortcut V, and then I can delete. Before I do that, however, I just want to point out, I don't actually want to cut out this downbeat here. So I'm going to Control Z or Command Z on a Mac, and I actually want to keep some of that downbeat, and I'll show you why here in a little bit. So I'm going to move this over, and Audition does this little scrub thing so you can kind of hear what's happening in your song. A little bit annoying in my opinion, but it does what it does. So let's go ahead and cut it right here. I'm going to use my razor tool, click right here, and that's about where I want to cut it, just after that downbeat. I'll grab my move tool again, click it here, and delete this section of the song that I don't want. And then if I zoom out, I can play that back to make sure that's where I want that to happen. Yep, so that's that downbeat, that's fine. So let's move on to track number 2 and do the same thing. In this case, again, we're going to keep the chorus and delete the intro and first verse. So let's go ahead and find where that is. I would say this looks like the intro, this looks like the first verse, this probably is where the chorus starts. So let's put our cursor there. We'll zoom in here. Make sure that we mute this track up here, or just solo the one down here so we don't have both playing at the same time. We'll hit play and find that downbeat of the chorus here. And just like I suspected, this is where that chorus starts. You can visually see that as well. That was kind of just a educated guess here. So if I zoom in on that, I can really dial into where I want this cut to be. Again, I'm going to grab my razor tool and I'm going to cut it right before that downbeat. We'll grab our selection/move tool and delete the first part of that song. And now we successfully have cut our songs to taste. So we have our two sections here. I'm going to quickly zoom out using this tool up here. So now we can move this stuff around here and place them where we want. So with our move tool selected, I can move this over and kind of line it up roughly where I want that transition to happen. This will automatically snap to the end. That's not where I want that to be because I want to really fine tune and get really precise with where that cut's going to happen. So let's zoom in on that cursor there. Click this a few times. Really get in close here. Okay, so the reason that we kept the downbeat on this song number 1 is because now I can visually see where downbeat 1 is here in this chorus, and I can see where the downbeat 1 is here in this chorus, and I can easily line those up. And that looks pretty good. If it's starting to do weird snappy things, I can turn off this snap tool here. That way I can just slide it around anywhere I want. So I can really line those up. That looks about right to me. I can zoom in even more if I needed to really make sure that that downbeat happens right at the same time. So these are lined up. And now that I have those lined up, we can zoom back out and let's go ahead and play this back and see how that sounds. Both tracks unmuted here. Okay, so that sounds pretty good. They both happened on the downbeat, beat 1. All right, so let's zoom back in here. A couple more things I want to do. First thing is this is a little bit too much overlap for me, so I'm just going to grab this with my trim tool here. If I hover over the right edge, I can just shorten this way, or another way we can do that again is by using our razor tool, and we can just cut off a little bit of the edge if you're just used to using the razor tool. That works just as well. And now that we have this, we do want to add fades, really short fades to each of these clips, a fade out here and a fade in here. And the reason that we want to do that is when you cut an audio file, like we've done here, this can result in clicks or pops in your mix right where these transitions happen. So in order to avoid this, you can quickly add a fade here. The way that we do that is we click on the track we want to add a fade to. It'll pull up this little box. It's a fade out box. If we click and drag this, it will add this little fade line here. And so that looks pretty good. Quick fade there. And then we'll click on this track and do the same thing and fade that in here. And again, make sure that these tracks are overlapping a bit. If my song was like this, for one, our downbeats wouldn't be in the same place, but let's just pretend like we had a mix like this. If we did this, it's not going to be as smooth. There might be a little dip in the audio, and it's just not going to sound as good. So always have a little bit of overlap. I have found that always sounds a little bit better and smoother with your cuts. So now that that's there, we can zoom back out. I'm going to use this tool here to zoom out enough until my mix tool up here lets me grab it. And now that we have done that, we can play this back and make sure that sounds good. A nice smooth transition. That works great. So another thing I want to show you here in Audition is just how to use a long gradual fade. So let's say I come over here to the end of my mix and I realize, you know what? This mix is sitting around 2 minutes and 10 seconds. That's a little bit long for me. I'd rather cut it shorter to about 1:50 or 1:45. So what I can do here, instead of just cutting it here and then ending it, I can actually add a gradual fade, which is really useful in a lot of applications. So what we can do is just simply shorten this by using our trim tool, or we can use our razor tool again if we want, and then just add a fade here that's a little bit longer, and this will add more gradual fade to our mix. So you can hear how that sounds here. I'll play it back for you. And just like that, we've gradually faded out of our mix. So that is how we use fades effectively in Audition. Just to recap, once you've added the songs you want to edit, use the razor tool to cut and delete the parts you don't want, or you can just use your trim tool here like we were showing you earlier. Then you want to line up your downbeats, zoom in and make those really precise, add your fades so that you don't have any clicks or pops, and that pretty much does it. So hopefully this video was helpful. If so, please give the video a like and subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions about making mixes or edits for your dance, you can contact me directly or head over to dancecuts.com/contact. And just for those curious, here is Dance Cuts. It is our music editor, or DAW, that we made specifically for dancers. Dance Cuts automatically adds fades for you when you make a cut or selection. So you don't have to worry about those pops or clicks, and you can easily adjust those fades by using this little handle here. This is much easier than other editors, as Dance Cuts was created for dancers. It is free, so be sure to check that out, and you can do that by heading over to dancecuts.com and navigating to our downloads page. We also have loads of tutorials to help you quickly learn Dance Cuts, with more tutorials being made regularly, so be on the lookout for those, and we will see you in the next one.